What is up, Static Gamers? Welcome back to 3-in-1. Today we're going to go back to talking about, or I'm going to go talking about Halo 6 again, and something that I think has been hinted on very, very much, and I'm not too sure how I feel about it, as this is where everybody thinks they're going, but it has to deal with the Flood returning in Halo 6. Now, like I said, I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I do have a theory for myself on what's going to happen. People have been mentioning things about the precursors and stuff like that. I had all these crazy ideas, and I'm not too entirely sure how it's going to go about it, but what I do know is that if the Flood does return to Halo 6, it is going to involve the Halo ring, which was seen at the legendary ending of Halo 5. So, I've been watching Halo Follower recently, on my other channel. You can't get to his video for my recent videos, but you can see that Cortana, if you watch the legendary ending, I'm not going to show any spoilers, by the way, she does that hum that 343 Guilty Spark would do, and I thought that was kind of interesting. It was kind of a reference to that, and she did it more in a creepy way. People have said things like she's in the Pelagic Plague and stuff like that, where she's under the belief of something that really isn't, and blah blah blah. But cut to the crap. I'm gonna go realistic, something that we'd probably expect actually in the game, and this is what it is. Halo Wars. That's right, I'm bringing up Halo Wars. Why? Well, it's basically the last game we ever saw the Flood in, and it was prior to somewhere after 2520, but before 2552, right? The Flood has been seen throughout Halo Wars, but particularly Halo Wars 2 is the thing that I want to mention about coming to Halo 6. What does Halo Wars 2 have to deal with Halo 6, right? If it's a continuation of Halo 5, not Halo Wars 2. Well, a while back, there was I think it was Late Night Gaming or something. No, it was the Ackman that was talking about what 343 can do to fix the mistakes they made, or to make the story more understandable for Halo 5. He went through how they could, do an update and completely re-advise Halo 5, but then it would piss off the fans that like Halo 5, so they can't do that. Then he went on talking about they could do a huge expanded lore campaign, which would be, awesome and all, but not really possible in a high budget, so that's not really likely. And then the third one is more reasonable, which is a side story, which currently is what Halo Wars 2 is. So I have a funny feeling that Halo Wars 2 has a connection to Halo 6. Now, at first, I thought Halo Wars 2 was going to be during Halo 2, because, the Elite in the background, Brutes and Sangheili, until I realized that the leader of the Covenant ship, can't remember the name of this stuff, I remember watching it, but, or reading about it too, that he made a deal with the Brutes for fuel and supplies to protect his Sangheili soldiers in return for his undying loyalty, which explains what this is, and that a lot of things are very interesting. I think I see what's going on here. Halo Follower made a point that, by the way, guys, if you don't believe what I'm talking about here in these videos, go look them up. They're on these guys' YouTube channels. If you go look up the Ackman, look up Halo Follower, you'll find them. But I'm taking an analysis of everything I've seen, so the sideline being a third-party YouTube. Basically, Halo Follower mentioned something about one of the Tech 2 skins about the Atriox is that it's named Didact Hunter. The only question is, why is it called Didact if he died in Halo 4? Well, there's a very logical theory behind that. The Didact isn't dead. As a matter of fact, the Halo ring, which we might see at the end of Halo 5, could be Installation 0003, and Halo Wars 2 has a story behind this. Now, let me get into this. This goes all the way back to Halo 4, right when we detonate the nuke at the end of the campaign. Oh, you're like, whoa, now you're going back. What is wrong with you, Koga? Hear me out. When you detonate the nuke, right, before that, you throw a pulse grenade, and it sends the Didact unknowingly to his supposable death as we call it, which is in the composer, and gets hit. Now, everyone had me convinced that it would kill him because the composer never finished due to Master Chief entering the thing, but apparently I've learned, and this is true, this is canon, you can look this up, that when a composer decomposes a soul, aka a body, it is sent to this, like, storage place. I don't know what it was called again. I think it was called just the containment. I don't know. I should have looked this up before I began this video. But this containment happened to be in Installation 003, right? The first one was blown up by the Chief. The second one was detonated again at the end of Halo 3. While Halo, all the installations and what the former set, Halo was to be rebuilt again. And there is actually, if you haven't noticed, on Halo Wars 2, there's another Halo ring, right? Halo Wars 2, I believe the campaign is going to consist of obviously Atriox, Captain Cutter, and revival of his team. Now here's where I think Spirit of Fire and Infinity and this Halo ring and the Didact become a huge thing involving the Flood returning in Halo 6. And this is where I'm going with my logic. This is where Halo Wars 2 campaign probably could go to make Flood returning in Halo 6 make a whole lot of sense. But basically, the Spirit of Fire lands, what happens, the battle between the brutes begin, and you learn through Omega, I think it was, the Spirit of Fire's fire team for Spartan Omega, I think it was, they've discovered over time with the new logistic AI, like, you don't know what's going, nothing to understand, so we're going to learn this stuff, Atriox, why he's so powerful and whatnot, and you're going to learn his enemy in and out, and what I think by this, you're going to find out what his true intentions in. He's banished. Why is he not Covenant? There's some backstory behind him that he just didn't share the beliefs, but there are other reasons, and why. I believe that it's because he hated the Covenant and has a vengeance for their beliefs, not because he thinks it's all this, that, and that, but he heard that the Didact went this, and what would be better than to take on the Storm faction? I guess people call it Storm faction, but it's not actually the Storm faction. They use supplies from the Storm faction, from Joel and Jama, but basically, he despised Joel and Jama's faction, and he despises elites in general, despite the one elite he's with, Vel Vanam. Or no, wrong person. I forgot his name. Vel Valet? I think it was Vel Valet. Yeah, Vel Valet. If that's not right, correct me in the description. I don't know. I'm trying to remember elite names, and there's very few I can remember. But anyway, and they made this deal, and he's helping them, and it's happened after the betrayal of the elite. So this is after 2552, no doubt. So that means the Spirit of Fire is returning in 2552 or sometime after. It is not said. So this is after Chief destroys the second time he destroys Installation 03, Halo 4's happened, and right now, you got the Spirit of Fire engaging this construct, and I think what happens is Halo Wars 2 takes place roughly right when the ring is completed, and where the souls which are decomposed will be stored following the installation monitors, and I think we're going to see Exuberant return, as she might become, or I guess it's a she, I would call it, because it's a robot, but returns as the new replacement for Installation 03, as 343 Guilty Spark is now dead, because they gotta have some sort of AI to respond to the incident, and what would be better than Cortana sending her there while she manages Genesis, because the Guardians alone she won't be able to just manage and supply, and there's a lot of things that's going on. So yeah, my theory is that Infinity had made that random slip space jump, right? So, and Spirit of Fire has been drifting. I have this funny feeling Infinity is going to so happen during the end of Halo Wars 2, stumble across, come out of slip space, be at the Ark, find out what's going on after Cutter wins or succeeds and or dies. And being Installation 3, they know that flood containments, and we know that flood containments have happened on the Ark itself for studying. There's a possibility that the Gravemind has been in hiding this whole time, and which he survived the embarkment of the third Halo Ring's destruction, or the second Halo Ring's destruction, bringing back the third instruction that he will come out when the time is right. thus having in the comic, which is canon, the Spirit of Fire abandoned with a flood spore above it, the little hint that the flood isn't gone, and that the flood has been manipulating Cortana, but I wouldn't believe that so much. That was Halo Fall's theory, but I believe in the fact that the flood spore does take over the Spirit of Fire, and I came up with this crazy theory that who's better to defeat the Forerunners again, other than the one thing that could, which is the Flood, which is a pre-form of the Precursors. If you didn't know that, if you don't know this information, once again, you can go look it up. It's legitimate. But literally, the Flood is more intelligent than you think. As I have mentioned, it is powerful. Nothing can really stand against it. It uses your own technology to defeat you. The Forerunners were powerful in technology, is where, humanity isn't. That's the big difference. I think that's why Chief was able to brute force through. He may have had technology, but it wasn't. There was this thing that I remember, I think Halo 4 mentioning, or somebody, where there was this tier system where the Precursors would test your trial, and the Zero trial was like the replacement for them, and nobody's ever really passed it. He went on to mention humanity is like several of them. Like part of humanity is tier 3, which is like the civilians that we have. Our Marines are tier 2, and then tier 1 are Spartans, which is very unique in its asset. And what I believe happens is that humanity finds a way to turn the Flood against Cortana. Cortana loses everything to the Flood, because the Gravemind, can take over foreigner objects, no problemo. They've done it before. They still retain the knowledge. And at that point, the big, great test comes afoot. The Flood in Halo 3 was never at its strongest. Imagine the Halo 6 ending story about who's going to get the reclamation spot. And I could see Halo 6 using the Spirit of Fire's old body mass to begin spreading the Flood amongst Genesis, where Cortana resides, to stop her. And then humanity, Infinity, with Captain Cutter finally aboard, unless he sacrificed himself, finds a way to make sure Cortana is eradicated, and that Infinity will eventually become victorious by the hands of Master Chief on the field. And I feel that would be something very awesome. Something I want to see return in Halo 6 prior, if this is true, is the original commanding officer for the Infinity, the one we saw in Halo 4 that was a dick ash. For once, I would love seeing him coming back out, sucking ass on Chief, saying he was sorry and that let's do this. I want to see that happen, because, it's just amazing, and I finally want to see Cortana be destroyed, but I don't want the Flood to destroy her. I want to see Master Chief destroy Cortana, doing the one thing he needed to do from the beginning, and get off his laptop. Make a reference to us gamers, you get it? We're always sitting 24/7 at a computer, might as well be married to him. Well, might as well destroy him so we can get out in the real world. Chief's gonna destroy Cortana, he's gonna get out in the real world, and he might for once in his life be able to be human again, because he did the right thing. His emotions are gonna come out. He will be seen as a hero again, except this time, it won't just be him. Velvenatum, or the Arbiter, will be beside him, alongside Locke. I feel like Locke's gonna play a role in this, and I feel like the other characters, ODST Buck, Tanaka, and all them, they're all gonna play a definite role within Halo 6. They're in the story, they gotta stay in the story, they just can't ship them out, or that's bad writing. They need to keep them to the end, and make it, something, pretty amazing, I feel like when they do the multiplayer, as they do like the 4-player set in the future for the campaign, they should do something like you can play as Master Chief, Agent Locke, Arbiter, and then whatever other character, that they happen to come up with, and then the fire teams just follow around you like they did in Halo Reach for like Noble Team, which I feel like would feel more natural to Halo. I feel like in Halo that there are some things that should be removed via wise gameplay, but I'm going to leave that for future developments and stuff. Anyway guys, This is how I think the Flood could return and ultimately decide the fate of Halo itself and break, I guess, what would be considered an infinite loop. Halo rings detonating, Flood returning, Halo rings detonating, Floods returning, etc. until all species defeats the Flood, which is kind of awesome to think about. Imagine that the Flood you never thought was going to be the final conclusion, and that Cortana, being this threat of the universe, is only the threshold to the true being behind the throne. Oh my god, that would be an amazing story, and everything in Halo 5 would finally make sense. This is me thinking logically about Halo. I don't know. What about you guys think? Do you think it would be wise of 343 to bring back the Flood? Or do you think it would be a horrible idea and that they should go for some other resolution? If so, what do you think about using the key? Any thoughts about that? I'll be looking at your comments in the description below, and if you did enjoy this comment or this video commentary, I would definitely love a like, comment, and share, and subscribe if maybe, and so you can join us static gamers in the future. Anyway, guys, that is all I have today, and I'll be coming up with some more games. The next couple of things will probably be Let's Plays, more so, and I am still open to game requests. So if you guys have anything you want to see me play, comment them down below, and I will eventually get to them. I have a big long list of games that I want to get through. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Yours truly, Kokuji Mente, signing out.